Solo. I am the social media director at the Trumpet of Faith Ministries, and today I'm here to talk to you about a new product, which is a book by the Apostle Jean Saflo, and the book is titled Rethinking the Church for the 21st Century. Now, you have probably already heard about this book, and I just want to give you what I will call a review about what you should expect when you buy this book and you start to read it. So quickly, let me just read the introduction, a small part of the introduction, so that you understand what the book is all about. The church at present has come under scrutiny for a number of issues: use of funds, sexual purity, political correctness, and professionalism. And it is this last item that this book endeavors to address. Now, when you think about how people perceive the church and the opinions people have about the church, usually it starts from the members of the church. What do people see in the church, and how does it influence their perception of the church? Because we represent our Lord Jesus Christ in whatever we do in ministry. So I will quickly, run through the table of contents of the book, and then I will narrow down to a specific chapter about my role in the church, my position in the church, and what the book has to say about my position. And then you will see if I'm doing exactly that or not. When we look at the table of contents, the book begins by talking about the responsibilities in shepherding. So in the first chapter, you will find information about shepherding, and then the job description of the bishop is talked about, the senior pastor, the associate pastor, and then it moves on to the administration. So it kind of describes that within the church. And it talks about the church secretary, it talks about the church administrator, it talks about the treasurer, it talks about stewardship director, it talks about the maintenance director, it talks about the security officer, the transport director. That's all under administration. Then the worship is another part which is very central in the church setup. And here, the book talks about the role or the duties of the worship leader and the worship calendar coordinator, the music director, the musician, the singer, the sound technician, the visual media technician, the attendance director, the ushers, and the nursery. Then the next chapter talks about outreach. In here, you will find information about the role of the evangelist, the street evangelist, the social media director, the social mission coordinator, and so on. Then the next chapter is the growth of the church, and then talks about the apostle, the project leader, the team leader, and that's it for that chapter. Then discipleship. In discipleship, there is a discipleship director, there is the follow-up director, the Sunday school teacher, and the small group leader. Then we move on to fellowship, where the book talks about the fellowship director, the men's ministry leader, the women's ministry leader, the youth leader, the Easter coordinator, and the Christmas coordinator. And finally, the care chapter talks about the chaplain, the life events coordinator, the special needs coordinator, the intercession leader, deliverance minister, and the healing minister. So, as you can see from the table of contents, this book is really packed with information that will make church administration very, very easy for you if you're a church leader and so on. And if you're a student, you definitely are going to understand how the church is set up and how you can fit in with the kind of skills you have acquired. And so you definitely need to get the book. Now, let me get down quickly to talk about my role, because I have read deeply into that section, and I would like to share it with you so that you can understand or use it as a reference to understand the other job descriptions the book talks about. So I find that on page 141, where it talks about the social media director. So the work of a social media director definitely is a technical job, and certainly there has to be somebody, or the person who occupies this position has to be somebody who understands something really about media in general, and then, of course, social media. And just to give a quick example, if, for instance, you are not on Facebook or you don't know how to use Twitter, you certainly don't fit in this role. So this book talks about the purpose of the social media director. It begins with the purpose, and it says the social media director creates and updates electronic media messages and networks to spread the gospel and publicize the church's availability. In so doing, he or she assists the church to fulfill its mission and purpose. And this is accomplished through the church's website, social networks such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and so on, mass emails, group texts, and blogs. And he keeps the congregation and community informed regarding the church's ministry and makes communication with the church accessible 24/7. He or she designs websites and logos, writes and develops PR and multimedia strategies, and oversees and contributes content. He has experience using standard software such as YouTube, Microsoft Office, and so on, and social media universe avenues. So as you can see, it is all summarized in here. But the book goes further to give additional details. You know, it talks about the mission of the church under this role. The church is called to proclaim the gospel of Christ and the beliefs of the faith, to maintain the worship of God, and to inspire in all persons a love for Christ, a passion for righteousness, and the consciousness of their duties to God and their fellow human beings. We pledge our lives to Christ and covenant with each other to demonstrate his spirit through worship, witnessing, and ministry to the needs of the people of this church and the community. Now, I can go on and on, but let me quickly run through, the other parts of this role. The book gives biblical citation, some kind of, biblical authorization to have somebody working as social media director, and it's all, detailed in this section. Then it talks about the essential duties and functions, also described in details. I can't go through everything. Then it talks about the qualifications of the social media director. What are the qualifications that a social media director should have? Do you just pick anybody from the street and say, hey, come sit here and start doing our social media work? Come and start helping us to promote, our ministry? No, and it's all in this book. You have to take into consideration the qualifications or how qualified the individual is before you give them the job. For example, it takes the first qualification is a testimony, and this applies to all the positions. Testimony. You need salvation experience. That's the book states that. You need to have been baptized. Baptism is essential. You need doctrinal integrity. And there's a description that follows. You need to be a member of the church. You need to have, been discipled, So there's a description about discipleship. And then stewardship. The evangelist must be a regular tither to the local church, for example. So this is very important if you want to be a social media director. Then it goes further to talk about the spiritual gifts that are necessary to perform these duties. You need to have spiritual gifts to be able to work as a social media director. And this means you have to be deeply engaged. So the evangelist who is working as a social media director needs to have administration skills. They need craftsmanship. They need creative communication skills. They need discernment skills. And they need to know something about evangelism. And of course, they need general wisdom, And of course, this, if you are a believer and you pray very often and you are a devoted believer, you will definitely receive this gift of wisdom from the Lord, and you should be able to work perfectly as a social media director. Then the book goes further to talk about how to prepare for this role and the functionality of the social media director. The education you need, the training you're going to need, the experience you need, the availability for the job. You need to be available to do the job. The background check has to be carried out on you, so you need to have a clean background to be able to fit within the church. And bonding, of course, The social media director should never handle money. See? Bonding should not be necessary. So the book continues, talks about lines of authority. Who supervises the social media director, and so on. On supervision, it says here that the social media director functions under the ultimate authority of the senior pastor. And then, he also works under the immediate supervision of the evangelist. So you see, it's very clear here. There is nothing like, you are doing my job, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And then when it comes to cooperation, the social media director has to work in close collaboration with the congregation, And then where the church structure supports chaplaincy, he also needs to work closely with the church chaplain to maintain prayer lists and prayer notifications through the website, and so on and so forth. So it's a lot of things, talks about leadership responsibilities, and it says the social media director should not have additional responsibilities of leadership in the church. You see, that's one recommendation the book makes. But of course, there could be exceptions. Then it talks about legal issues. This is very important because in any setting, we operate under the law, and wherever you are, you need to work within the laws of the land. So the legal issues are also specified here, how to function, the working conditions, issues of compensation, the duration of the work, the position, initiation and revision dates, and so on. Then it goes further to talk about the evaluation criteria for choosing a social media director. You see, this of course is detailed, because then you are sure of the sort of skills you're gonna look for in a person that wants to work as a social media director. Then, of course, if I can mention just a few of them, the person should be able to design and update electronic media, like we said earlier, and then design and maintain the church website. So you should have some web design skills, have some social media skills, working with social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. That basic knowledge you can get for free. Then issues of mass communication. Someone needs to have some knowledge about mass communication. You should have an idea about blogging. You should be able to keep the congregation and the community informed regarding, the church's ministry. Keep communication with the church 24/7. and so on and so forth. In my opinion, this is a book that, speaks a lot about practical issues in the church. And if you want to simplify the way the church functions, then you're going to have to, take a copy of this book and read it. It's very important for you to have as a church leader. It's very important for you to have as a member of the church who is serving in a particular role. So then you can learn how to position yourself in the church and make a positive contribution towards the growth of the ministry and, of course, ultimately the kingdom of God. And if you're a student, this book definitely is for you, because then you get to understand how you're going to fit within the church setting when you finish your studies, if you really want to get involved. Because why else would you be studying theology if you don't want to get involved in the church and in ministry? So go out there and pick a copy of the book. You can come here at Ebelsgata 1, 4th floor, and get a copy for yourself. Or you can visit our website at www.trumpetnet.org and order a copy, and you'll get one delivered to you. And if you can't do all that, and probably you're not in Norway, just go to Amazon.com and order a copy for yourself. And many other bookstores online that are selling this book. You can get the book ranging between $12 and so on. Here at Ebelsgata, if you want a hard copy like the one I'm holding now, you can get the book at 250 kronas, and you walk away with your hard copy, and it's as simple as that. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're gonna buy the book and read it, because you definitely need it if you are involved in the ministry. So may God bless you. Ciao.